So, usually when we talk about energy, there's this like expectation of precision.
Oh, totally, like in physics or engineering.
Exactly. It's highly predictable. You flip a switch on the wall, the electrical current flows through the copper wiring, the bulb lights up,
Right.
and an electrician can just point to the schematic and say, there it is. That is exactly how it works.
Yeah, because the parameters are entirely quantifiable.
Yeah.
I mean, the circuit is either closed or it's open. The energy transfers or it doesn't. You can literally measure the voltage.
Right. And it is incredibly comforting to have things be that quantifiable. We really like our world to be visible, to be categorized super neatly into cause and effect.
Human nature. We love a clear schematic.
We do. But the moment you step out of that realm of physics and into, well, the world of human interaction.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, into emotion and intention and the actual things we say to one another, that precision just seems to vanish completely.
It really does.
We find ourselves looking at this landscape of human connection that is, frankly, pretty murky.
Murky is a great word for it. It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters.
Yeah.
Because we can't put an oscilloscope on a conversation, right?
Right.
So we tend to assume that how we treat people or what we feel internally, it just sort of dissipates into the ether. We treat our social interactions as if they have no real measurable impact on the physical environment around us.
Which is wild when you really think about it. But what if that assumption is entirely backward? What if the energy of our gratitude is just as real and just as directed and just as powerful as that electrical current running through your wall?
That is the big question.
It is. So if you are joining us today, you are someone who loves to learn and optimize your mindset without getting bogged down in the fluff. And today's deep dive is going to give you exactly that. We are looking at Chapter 10 of Rhonda Byrne's work, The Magic, to see how we can actually map that energetic current.
Yeah, Chapter 10.
The chapter is titled Magic Dust Everyone, and we're going to explore the mechanics behind why directing this energy fundamentally alters the reality of both the giver and the receiver.
And, the core premise here really demands a radical shift in perspective. It asks us to stop viewing gratitude as this passive, internal state.
Right. It's not just that quiet, fleeting sense of, I'm glad that happened, that just sort of sits in your chest and goes absolutely nowhere.
Exactly.
The source material is asking us to explore gratitude as a directed, active, almost physical energy. And the author explicitly visualizes this energy as sparkling magic dust.
Which, I know on the surface might sound a little bit,
whimsical? Woo.
right, a little woo-woo. But if we decode what that visualization is actually doing psychologically, it's quite profound. It's really a cognitive hack.
How so?
Well, by visualizing gratitude as sparkling magic dust, you're taking a totally abstract emotion and giving it a physical vector. You're forcing your brain to acknowledge that this feeling has a destination. It doesn't just stay inside you. It physically travels from you to someone else.
Oh, wow. I love that. A physical vector. And that idea of gratitude having a destination like a required target, it's rooted way deeper than modern self-help.
Oh, absolutely.
The text anchors this concept by pulling us way back in time. It cites St. Ambrose. Now, he was a theologian and Catholic bishop operating in the 4th century, living between AD 340 and 397.
It's a long time ago.
A very long time ago. And the text highlights a highly specific quote of his. It says, "No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks."
I really want to focus on his specific choice of the word urgent there.
See, that's the word that trips me up. When I think of returning thanks, my mind immediately goes to, like, writing a polite thank you card after a dinner party.
Right, checking a box.
Yeah, exactly. It's good manners. It's etiquette. I don't naturally associate thank you with an emergency or an urgency.
And that disconnect right there highlights exactly how much we have diluted the concept over the centuries.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In the context of ancient spiritual teachings, which this text leans heavily on, by the way, returning thanks wasn't about social pleasantries at all. It was considered a vital operational mechanism for survival and prosperity.
Really? Like a functional tool.
Exactly. These traditions taught that what we give to another person with a full heart actually returns to us 100-fold.
So it's a multiplier effect.
It is an exponential multiplier. So returning thanks is urgent because it is the mechanism that drives your own forward momentum. If you aren't doing it, you aren't just being impolite. You are actively stalling the progress of your own life.
Wow.
The text explains that gratitude is this powerful energy, and whomever you direct that energy toward, that is exactly where it goes.
Okay, so if we accept that gratitude is this directed energetic currency, like this pouch of magic dust that we have a limitless supply of, how does this change our everyday mundane interactions? Like if I'm just buying a coffee or stepping onto a bus, how does this visualization alter that specific moment?
Well, it transforms a sterile transactional moment into a vital energetic exchange. The text points out just how many people we make contact with on any given day,
Yeah.
through email, on the phone, face-to-face in stores, restaurants, elevators, trains. And in the vast majority of these cases, the people we are interacting with are performing a service. We are receiving something from them.
Right. They're giving their time and their labor, and we are absorbing it.
Yes, exactly. And the text presents a very stark energetic equation for this scenario. It says, if you do not say thank you in return for their service, you are breaking the circuit.
Breaking the
You're
circuit.
receiving energy without returning it. And as a direct result of breaking that circuit, you are stopping the flow of good from coming into your own life.
So it's a bottleneck.
A massive bottleneck.
This sets up the premise so perfectly. We all possess this limitless supply of magic dust, and we need to be actively distributing it to keep our own circuits flowing. So the logical next question the source poses is, well, who needs this dust the most?
Right. Where do you aim it?
Exactly. And the text immediately pivots to what I like to think of as the invisible army.
Oh, the underlying infrastructure of modern society.
Yes. The people we are culturally conditioned to look right past. The source asks us to actively think about the maintenance workers who keep the transport system safe, the people maintaining the utility grids, the electricity, the gas, the water, our roads,
Backbone of
the
everything.
absolute backbone. And it specifically calls out the cleaners of the world, the people scrubbing public bathrooms, sweeping trains, airplanes, hospitals, supermarkets, office buildings.
If we look at the sociological reality of this, modern society, especially in urban environments, is specifically architected for us not to see these people.
That is such a good point.
The ultimate goal of a luxury customer experience, or really even just basic civic planning, is seamlessness. Utility tunnels are built underground. Trash is collected before dawn. Office buildings are cleaned after midnight. We are deliberately insulated from the messy physical labor that produces our daily comfort.
It's an illusion.
It is. The illusion is that the clean office or the running water just exists in a state of nature.
But the text is demanding that we pierce through that insulation. We have to actively acknowledge the human effort that went into that clean floor.
We do?
But here is where I struggle a bit with the practical application of this. How can I possibly direct this energy, this magic dust, to the street sweeper who cleans my block at 3 a.m. while I am fast asleep? Or, like, the person managing the water purification plant 50 miles away? I never see them. I can't look them in the eye.
The author actually anticipates that exact logistical limitation. The text acknowledges that, no, you won't be able to personally thank all of them, but it states that you can still sprinkle them with magic dust through mental acknowledgement.
Mental acknowledgement, so you have to push back there. How effective is mental acknowledgement, really?
Right.
If gratitude is an energy that needs to land on a target, how does me sitting completely alone in my apartment thinking about a street sweeper actually do anything?
Because it fundamentally alters your own cognitive baseline.
Okay, explain that.
The text gives a specific script for this. It suggests mentally saying to yourself, I'm really grateful to the cleaners who work through the early hours of the morning, making sure that the streets are cleaned of trash every day. I've never really thought about how grateful I am for that service, which is done like clockwork every day. Thank you.
So even if I am just walking across a polished floor in a hotel lobby by myself, I can send that dust mentally.
Yes. The text argues that because this energy operates in the invisible, it still reaches them. But let's look at it from a purely neurological standpoint.
Okay.
By engaging in that mental acknowledgement, you are tuning your own reticular activating system.
Oh, right.
You're training your brain to scan your environment for evidence of helpfulness and care, rather than evidence of friction or annoyance. So the invisible energy alters your immediate reality because it fundamentally changes the lens through which you are viewing the world.
Okay, that makes total sense for internal regulation. Mental acknowledgement is fantastic for our own peace of mind, but it doesn't really jump the gap between two physical people in real time, right?
True. So when we move from the invisible army to the visible army, the people we actually interact with face-to-face or on the phone, the text gets incredibly prescriptive. It lays out some very strict technical mechanics for how to deliver a sincere thank you.
It really does. It treats the delivery of gratitude less like a polite suggestion and much more like a precise operational protocol.
A protocol, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's break down these rules because the specificity here is fascinating. First, let's look at phone interactions. The text says, if you thank someone on the phone for their help, you cannot just throw away your thank you.
I think throwing away a thank you is such a brilliant, vivid phrase. It perfectly captures that generic reflex thanks we just toss out right before we hang up the receiver.
Right. It's almost like a verbal period at the end of a sentence. It's a reflex action we use to end a transaction quickly rather than an actual expression of genuine gratitude.
Exactly. Carries zero emotional weight. It's an empty vessel. The protocol in the text mandates that you must provide the specific reason why you are grateful.
Yes, the why. The examples provided are highly targeted. Things like, thank you for going out of your way for me, or thank you for giving me so much of your time, or thank you for resolving this situation for me. I'm very grateful to you.
And the psychological shift this creates for the person on the other end of the line is massive. The text actually notes that you will be amazed at their response when you do this because they will instantly feel your sincerity.
Well, yeah. When you specify the reason, you are providing undeniable proof that you actually witnessed their effort. You aren't just reciting a social script. You are validating their labor. You are literally saying, I see the friction you just navigated on my behalf.
Right.
And that validation is what gives the magic dust its density.
Its density. I like that. And then there was the rule for in-person interactions, which is even stricter. Eye contact is completely non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable. The text explicitly states that when you say thank you to someone in person, you must look at his or her face. They will not feel your gratitude, and they will not receive your magic dust unless you're looking directly at them.
The author's quite blunt about this, too. She states that you have literally wasted an opportunity to help that person and to change your own life if you say thank you to the air, or if you say thank you while looking down, or, and this is the absolute epidemic of our time, if you say thank you while you are staring at your cell phone.
Let's talk about why looking away voids the transaction. Biologically, humans are hyper-tuned to eye contact. It is how our autonomic nervous system assesses threat versus safety and sincerity versus deception.
Oh, wow.
So when you break eye contact during an expression of thanks, you are signaling to the recipient's amygdala that the interaction is secondary or even dismissive. You effectively neutralize any positive words you are actually speaking.
That makes so much sense.
The magic dust requires the unbroken conduit of genuine sincerity to transfer. Without eye contact, the circuit breaks. The energy just falls straight to the floor.
You know, this reminds me of the anecdote the author shares in the text, which perfectly illustrates this broken circuit and the fallout from it.
Oh, the story about shopping for a gift for her sister.
Yes. Let me recount this for you because it's painfully relatable. So the author explains that she was in a store looking for a gift. The store assistant was phenomenal. She listened carefully, went on this massive search through the store, and acted as if she were shopping for her own sister. High-level, deeply invested service.
It's the perfect opportunity for an energetic exchange.
Right. So the assistant finds the perfect item, wraps it beautifully, and hands the bag across the counter to the author. But precisely at that moment, the author's cell phone rings.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She answers the phone. She takes the bag with her free hand, kind of just nods, and walks toward the front entrance of the store while engaged in her phone conversation.
She threw away the thank you.
Completely threw it away. But as she's walking out, the text says a very specific, unsettled feeling sweeps over her.
I want to pause on that unsettled feeling because we really shouldn't just wave that away as a mystical intuition. What she is experiencing right there is acute cognitive dissonance.
Explain how that works in this specific context.
She has a deep underlying awareness of the implicit social contract of reciprocity. Someone just expended significant emotional and physical labor on her behalf. Her brain knows that a debt was incurred.
Right.
So by walking away on her phone, she breached that contract, that unsettled feeling in her stomach. That is the somatic, physical manifestation of social guilt. It's her body telling her that a circuit was left dangerously open.
I love that interpretation. It anchors the magic entirely in human psychology. So she listens to that physical cue. She turns around, goes back into the store, and walks right back up to the assistant. And she doesn't just toss out a quick, hey, sorry, thanks again. she executes the exact protocol.
She does.
She gives unbroken eye contact, and she lists all the specific reasons why she was grateful for the assistant's extra effort. As the author puts it, I showered her with gratitude's magic dust.
And the immediate reaction of the assistant is what proves the efficacy of the protocol?
The text notes that the assistant's eyes actually filled with tears, and the biggest smile swept across her face.
This is a real-world demonstration of a core principle cited in the text. Every action always has an equal reaction. It is Newton's third law of motion applied to human emotion. If you deliver the energy with the required sincerity, the recipient's physiology will literally change right in front of you.
And the reaction bounces right back to the author. The text notes that after delivering this proper, directed gratitude, the author walked out of the store feeling indescribably happy. By returning to close that circuit, she fundamentally altered the assistant's day and her own neurochemistry in the process.
It just proves that sincerity is the required voltage.
Okay, so it is relatively easy to shower gratitude on someone who just wrapped the perfect gift for your sister, right? They did an amazing job, you feel relieved, it's a naturally positive feedback loop. But we have to address the friction here.
Yeah, the real world.
Exactly. What happens when the service worker is not acting like they are shopping for their own sister? What happens when they are inattentive, dismissive, or actively rude to you?
This is exactly where the practice evolves from basic social etiquette into a profound, advanced-level personal discipline. And the text does not shy away from this at all. It anticipates this exact, uncomfortable scenario.
And frankly, if I'm at the counter and the person ringing me up is rolling their eyes and snapping at me, my instinct is not to sprinkle them with magic dust.
Of course not.
It feels slightly delusional or even patronizing to thank someone who is actively being hostile.
It feels patronizing if you view the gratitude as a reward for their behavior. But the text asks you to view it entirely differently. It brings in a heavyweight philosophical perspective to reframe the entire interaction. It introduces a quote from Philo of Alexandria.
The Hellenistic Jewish philosopher, right?
Yeah.
Around 20 BC to AD 50.
That's the one.
And the quote is, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle."
Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. If you actually internalize that sentence, it forces a complete, immediate reset of your ego.
Because our natural, ego-driven instinct when someone is rude is to take it deeply personally. We assume their behavior is a direct commentary on us, or a deliberate attack on our dignity.
Precisely. But Philo's wisdom, which the text leans heavily into, reminds you that you are walking into the very middle of a movie. You have absolutely no idea what scenes played out before you walked up to that counter.
Right.
The text gives us a powerful, humanizing list to break us out of our solipsism. It reminds us that the person serving us is a precious daughter or son to parents, an irreplaceable brother or sister to siblings, a mother or father to a family and children, and a loved and adored partner or friend.
It forces you to remember they aren't just a cog in the service machine designed to ring up your groceries.
And the text goes further. It explicitly details the kinds of hidden battles they might be enduring at that exact moment. They might be feeling physically unwell, they may have just lost a loved one, their marriage might be collapsing, or they may be in a state of financial desperation and sitting right at a tipping point in their life.
That phrase, tipping point, carries so much weight. It implies an incredibly precarious balance. It means that one more harsh word, one more negative interaction with a frustrated customer might literally push them over the edge. But conversely, one genuine positive interaction might be the anchor that pulls them back.
Which brings us to the most challenging instruction the text gives for these difficult situations. It states clearly, your gratitude cannot be dependent on another person's behavior.
Wow. That is the hardest thing to actually execute in real life. Your gratitude cannot be dependent on another person's behavior. You have to be a thermostat, not a thermometer.
Ooh, expand on that analogy because it perfectly captures the mechanism here.
Well, a thermometer is entirely passive, right? It just reacts to the environment.
Oh.
If the room is freezing, the thermometer drops. So if the person at the checkout counter is rude and projecting hostility, and you are acting as a thermometer, you just reflect their energy right back at them. You become hostile.
You match their low frequency.
Exactly. But a thermostat sets the temperature. You program it, you walk into a freezing room, and regardless of how cold it is, the thermostat projects warmth until the environment changes to match its setting.
That is a brilliant way to understand the text's mandate. Choose to be grateful no matter what. Choose magic in your life no matter what. When you act as a thermostat, you are refusing to surrender your energetic state to a stranger's bad mood. You are maintaining your own boundaries.
So it isn't patronizing at all. It is the ultimate form of emotional self-regulation, and the text suggests that your kindness in that specific moment, precisely because they are struggling and being difficult, might literally be the most magical thing that happens to them that day. You might be the only person who treats them like a human being in pain, rather than just an obstacle to your day.
It's a profound shift in power dynamics. You are no longer a victim of bad service. You're an active, strategic distributor of positive energy exactly where it is needed most. You are doing emotional triage.
Doing triage. I love that. Okay, so if we can master directing this magic dust at difficult strangers, which, let's be honest, is a lifelong practice in itself, where else can we aim it? Because the text actually shows us how to expand this magic dust beyond just service workers and transactional moments.
Yes, the author shares her own personal daily practices for using the dust in completely non-service situations. And it really shows the versatility of this visualization.
The imagery she shares is quite charming, actually. She talks about the moment she says goodbye to her daughter before her daughter drives to her own home. The author feels immense gratitude in advance for her daughter arriving safely, and she says she literally waves her fingers in the air and imagines sprinkling magic dust over her daughter and over the car.
It's a physicalization of a blessing. She's taking the internal hope for safety and giving it a kinetic, physical action. And she applies it to inanimate objects and future events, too. The text mentions she sometimes sprinkles magic dust on her computer before beginning a new project, or sprinkles it ahead of herself before walking into a store to look for something specific she needs.
It's almost like paving the road ahead of you with positive intention. You are priming your environment before you even step into it. But my absolute favorite example in this entire section is what her daughter does with the magic dust.
Oh, the daughter driving in heavy traffic.
Yes. The text says that when her daughter is driving and she sees another driver who seems to be highly stressed, driving aggressively, or speeding, she sprinkles magic dust over them. She does it specifically to help make them feel better and to keep them safe.
If we connect this back to our earlier discussion about the thermostat and the tipping point, think about the default human reaction to a stressed, aggressive driver.
It's road rage. We literally throw rage right back at them. We grip the steering wheel, we yell in the cabin of our own car, we escalate the aggression.
Exactly. It is emotional contagion at its worst. You are adding more chaotic, negative energy to an already dangerous physical situation. But the daughter is using the gratitude visualization as a proactive shield. By mentally sprinkling magic dust on the aggressive driver, she is doing two things.
What's the first?
First, she is protecting her own nervous system from getting hijacked by their rage. Second, she is sending a wave of calming intention towards someone who is clearly overwhelmed and at their own tipping point.
She is acting as a thermostat on the highway. It's taking the concept of the invisible army and applying it to the invisible emotional currents that are swirling around us all the time. We actually have the power to alter those currents rather than just being swept away by them.
We absolutely do, but it requires deliberate, conscious practice. It doesn't just happen by accident, which brings us to the actual execution of this deep dive's core lesson.
Right. It is time to move from theory into action. For you, the listener, we are going to outline the exact step-by-step protocol the Talmud provides for today. This is to ensure you actually experience this energy shift for yourself. This is magic practice number 10. Magic dust, everyone. Let's break down exactly how you execute this.
Step 1 is the foundation of the entire program. It begins, as always, with count your blessings.
So, the text instructs you to make a written list of 10 blessings in your life. But you don't just list them. You must write down the why you are grateful for each specific item. Then you reread your list, and at the end of each blessing, you say the magic words, thank you, thank you, thank you, and you feel genuinely grateful for that blessing as you possibly can.
We should highlight why writing the why is so critical here. It prevents habituation. If you just list 10 things, your brain skims over them passively. By forcing yourself to articulate the reason for your gratitude, you engage deeper cognitive processing. You prime the pump. This step generates the internal reservoir of magic dust that you're going to draw from for the rest of the day.
And once the pump is primed, we move to step 2, which is the core mission of today's specific chapter. Today, you must find 10 people who perform services that you benefit from, and you must sprinkle them with magic dust.
You can execute this by thanking them directly, remembering the strict rules of providing specific reasons, and maintaining unbroken eye contact, or, if that's logistically impossible, by mentally acknowledging and thanking them.
And the text includes a very specific operational rule for this step. You must keep count. It says, make sure you keep count of the people and service you are grateful for, so that you know when you have thanked 10 different people for their services and sprinkled magic dust on them all. You cannot just drift through the day and casually assume you hit the target.
The requirement to keep count is a brilliant psychological tool. It forces you out of a state of passive observation and turns you into an active hunter. You spend your day hyper-vigilant, actively looking for people being helpful. It completely inverts your standard threat detection bias.
But what if a listener is working from home today? What if they're sick in bed or just aren't going to physically encounter 10 service workers?
The text provides an excellent alternative for homebodies. It instructs you to sit down with a pen and journal or at your computer and go back in your memory. You actively recall past instances where people in service went out of their way for you.
Oh, like a customer service representative who spent an hour on the phone fixing a billing error, or a tradesperson who came out in the rain to resolve a plumbing problem at your house. It could be your mail carrier or the recycling crews who come every week.
Exactly. You make a written list of 10 specific instances where people in service helped you, and you send magic dust by saying thank you to every single one of them retrospectively. The intention and the energy still travel regardless of the time delay.
Once you hit your 10, we arrive at step 3, which is the evening ritual.
Just before you go to sleep tonight, you take your magic rock in one hand, you scan back through your entire day, evaluate everything that happened, find the single best thing that occurred, and say the magic words, thank you, for that specific event.
Why is this evening ritual so important to the overall protocol?
Because the moments right before sleep are when your brain begins transferring short-term experiences into long-term memory, and your subconscious is highly receptive. By ending your day focusing intensely on the best thing that happened, you are closing the day on the exact same high-frequency energetic state that you started it with. You are programming your subconscious to look for gratitude while you sleep.
And finally, step 4 is purely a preparation step. The text specifically reminds you to read through tomorrow's practice today. The reason for this is that the practice for day 11 begins the very moment you first wake up. You have to know the protocol before your feet even hit the floor tomorrow morning.
It is a comprehensive, meticulously designed, full-day energetic protocol.
So let's briefly recap the journey we've taken through the source material today. We started by dismantling the idea of gratitude as a passive feeling, and instead explored it as a directed, urgent, and energetic currency that the author visualizes as sparkling magic dust.
We examined the invisible army of service workers who silently maintain the infrastructure of our world, and realized that failing to acknowledge them effectively bottlenecks the flow of good into our own lives.
We broke down the strict mechanics of delivering a sincere thank you, the necessity of providing specific reasons to validate their labor, and the non-negotiable rule of unbroken eye contact to ensure the emotional circuit is closed and the energy actually transfers.
We tackled the friction of difficult interactions, using Philo's wisdom to remember that everyone is fighting a hard, unseen battle. We learned how to protect our own energy by choosing to be a thermostat that sets the temperature, rather than a thermometer that just reacts to a stranger's hostility.
And finally, we saw how to expand this magic dust into every corner of our lives, protecting our loved ones, blessing our projects, and even neutralizing aggressive strangers in traffic before walking through the precise 4-step execution for today's practice.
It truly is a masterclass in shifting your daily cognitive awareness.
It really is. And as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final, lingering thought inspired by the incredible imagery in this text.
If this magic dust of gratitude were physically visible, let me rephrase that. If it actually accumulated in the air around us like real glittering dust, if you could literally see it sparkling in the physical world, what would the trail you left behind you today look like?
Really think about that. As you walk down the aisles of the grocery store, as you ride the bus, as you interact with your family at dinner, or as you sit at your desk, are you leaving a wake of brilliant, sparkling energy that brightens the path for everyone who walks behind you? Or are your interactions just disappearing into the dark, leaving absolutely no trace that you were even there?
The choice of what kind of trail you leave behind is entirely yours.
We encourage you to go out there today, find your 10 people, and start sprinkling. Turn the invisible energy of your gratitude into an undeniable reality. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Now go make some magic.